Welcome back to Your Election Authority, continuing coverage of our vote in 2024. Dave Madsen with Paul Robbins. Paul, the map has gotten a little more colorful since we were on an hour ago. But you were saying you're not surprised by any of these numbers so far.
No, because you don't know where the votes are being tallied.
Yeah.
They could be in outlying areas which might go faster than cities, urban areas, suburbs. So interestingly enough, like on the map, early Virginia was in the Democratic column. Democrats, that's usually a solid Democratic, state. I believe that Clinton won it by 5 points and Biden by 10. And right now it's like 50-50. But the amount of votes in are small. So we don't know sitting here where they're coming from. I can tell you if Harris squeaks by or loses Virginia, he's probably going to lose the election.
Yeah.
Because no one's thinking those 13 electoral votes are in a battleground state. I mean, the states that we're talking about obviously are Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, North Carolina, which is tilting to Trump right now. And then, of course, Georgia, where Trump has a lead. But again, we don't know where the votes are being counted. And then in Nevada and Arizona, and even in Nevada and Arizona are the big ones out there.
Well, as you look at this map too, that these are you're talking about the results that there's still not a lot of votes counted. I mean, there's small percentages. This is based on those small percentages because it's polls have only been closed on the East Coast for about an hour. So
yeah, and I think I do think it'll be faster than it was 4 years ago and 8 years ago because they are counting those mail-in ballots, early voting the day of, rather than waiting till after, which is what they used to do. They'd get the day, vote for the day, and then start to tally the others, and then we'd wait a week. I think it's going to be quicker, and I think by in a couple hours from now, a lot of this is going to be filled in a lot better.
All right, I want to take a look at. This is a whole new experiment. Me working with computers. This should be really interesting. Let's take a look at the race for Congress. Congressman Richie Neal with a big lead over Nadia Miller. Not a big surprise there. And what we were talking about in the last hour is if the Democrats regain control of the House, this is a big win for Richie Neal.
For us here, this is a big story that has gotten no attention, which is that you have 4 seats flip in the House, which I'm going to say is probably likely.
Yeah.
Then you have a different speaker, Hakeem Jeffries, and you have Richie Neal, our own Richie Neal, back as chair of Ways and Means. That is significant. It's significant for the state and for our region. So that won't be, unfortunately, that will not be figured out until probably tomorrow or the next day, because a lot of those flips could be in California. I know Pennsylvania and New York have some seats that might flip, but it's going to have to wait until the next couple of days.
Jim McGovern, too, again with a big lead. Interesting in both of these races, independents running against the sitting incumbents.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a movement out there. I think the polarization has turned off a lot of people, and you and I always talk about, when they talk about Democratic and Republican registration and where people are in a state, it always forgets the fact that there's a huge amount of people who are not enrolled in either party.
Yeah, more
and
than
it changes from state to state, but it's about a third, and a third.
Yeah.
And in Massachusetts, blue Massachusetts, it's slightly higher, the number of unenrolled versus the Democratic Party. So, I think that reflects maybe a frustration with the system.
Okay, we have nothing in that race. Third Berkshire, nothing. Well, the early returns up there. Fourth Hampton District, we still have nothing coming in from that either. Let's look at the second Franklin District, nothing there. Well, it's early.
Yeah.
And as far as U.S. Senate too, I think no surprise here.
No surprise there. Yep. I think Deaton tried to run as, I think he was trying to straddle the fence a little bit.
More of
get some of the Trump votes.
More of a Baker Republican.
Yeah, more of a Baker Republican, but not alienate them and be more of an independent. But she's strong. She has she debated him. Got to give her credit for that. She didn't run away from that.
We asked people today who voted. Did you vote in this year's election? And most of the people we talked to did, which is a good sign.
Yeah.
And then there's that 1% we aren't sure about.
They don't remember.
We don't did I vote today? Well, that's the other part of it. I mean, record numbers of voters here in Massachusetts. Galvin saying that this will be 2020. More people voting before the election itself, whether it's mail-in ballots or by going in and voting early.
I think voting is becoming easier, which it should be. And if it isn't on one particular day, just think about the fact that people work on a weekday, on a Tuesday.
Sure.
They might be second or third shift. They might have responsibilities with their family, their kids. The fact that you can vote early, I think, is, you know, I said earlier, maybe one of the benefits of COVID, because a lot of people prefer to do it that way.
Yeah.
It should be, a couple-week exercise.
Well, it's, you think about that too. It's like they're always, we were talking about minority presidents. Yes, they may get 50% of the vote, but it's not everybody who registered to vote voted.
Right.
That any way you can get people to vote is a good way, I would think, no matter where you are. And
Well-
Republicans seem to buy into that more this year than they did 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, the number of people who are age eligible to vote, only about half of them register to vote. And of those, about in a presidential election, about 70% of those will vote. But so it's actually less than 50% of the people in the country, but it's improving. I think. The part that's not good is that people are at each other's throats, it seems, and there's a lot of division. But people are definitely engaged,
Yeah.
and making it easier to vote, having early voting, I think, is a big deal.
So as we look at this map, I mean, anybody looking at that who's supporting Kamala Harris will look at that and go, that doesn't look good. But again, it's still too early, right?
Yeah, well, again, she has to, I suppose the thing that they would fall back on is Pennsylvania, she's got a lead, Michigan, a lead. We don't know anything about Wisconsin. But if those the so-called blue wall states stay together, then she can afford to lose North Carolina and Georgia.
Yeah.
As long as she wins Nevada, then she has more than 270.
We look at the numbers, just 17% of the vote in Pennsylvania now. And Harris, leading by a pretty substantial amount, but it's, again, still early.
Yep. Yep, and you have to figure out is Philly, which is here,
Counties,
and
yeah.
Pittsburgh, which is there in the suburbs, how much of those votes have been counted. So what I see here is a lot of, this is probably Trump territory, where you haven't been
Yeah.
counted yet, so that'll close.
Of course, I hit the wrong button again. But I want to take us back to, we'll let this thing circle for a minute, North Carolina. Just to take a look at that right now, too.
Yeah, okay, so we're talking about close. The polling there had them basically tied. Some polls had her up by a point. Again, you got to figure out, and I wouldn't be able to tell you, but I can see there are some of these outlying areas that have no votes coming in. And then you have pockets here. So it depends on how much is urban, how much in that research triangle. So, again, it's still relatively early. It's about 40% of the votes in. So if she wins that one, that's huge news for her
Yeah.
prospects.
All right. So that's what we have for you now. Some races are still yet to be determined. Votes are coming in slowly here in Western Massachusetts, but we already know Elizabeth Warren, of course, reelected to another term. Richie Neal, too, and Jim McGovern, both reelected to Congress. But some of the House and Senate seats, the few that we have, we are going to have more on that as we continue. You can always go on air on Western Mass News, of course, CBS 3, ABC 40, and Fox 6, and of course online and on our app. So we will see you in a few minutes, and thanks for joining us, and have a good night.